Every story starts in a dark alley. Some start with candles, wine, and a Netflix. So tonight we're going to talk about a real story that could happen to anybody. And it's about Emily. She's a 23-year-old college student who went on what she thought was going to be a normal first date. Instead, it became one of the most terrifying nights of her life. And later, Eric and I will break down what she could have done to prevent such an event to happen, what the warning signs were, what the red flags were, and what she could have done instead. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Michelle. I grew up as an Army brat, lived all over the world, and went to school for engineering. Got my master's in business, and then I'm an attorney.
And I'm Erik. I was in the Army for a number of years, Airborne Ranger qualified. I was a counterintelligence agent for DIA, Joint Terrorist Task Force, had my own bodyguard and private investigation company, actually specializing in stalking cases. And now I'm an attorney as well. So we're trying to bring our experience and expertise to help others to have safety and to teach situational awareness in all types of situations. This one here, I think we're doing like 10 episodes on safe dating for women.
And what we're going to do is go through the scenario of what happened and then break it down. And we've picked different stories that started out differently and ended in problems for each one of the participants in it. All right, so I'll go through the story now. So we have that Emily just moved into the city. She was new, smart, independent, and trying to meet people. So she went on one of the dating sites. She matched with a guy on a dating app. We seemed normal. Profile, polite, texted well. They had a couple mutual friends on social media, so she thought it was fine. After a week of texting, he invited her to his place to watch a movie. She hesitated, didn't want to seem paranoid or difficult, so she said yes. When she got there, his apartment looked nice, clean, well kept, well decorated. He had candles, poured some wine, and then the date started. They started talking, and he poured more wine and a little more wine. He kept topping it off rather than letting her empty her glass, so she was losing track of how much she was actually drinking. The conversation shifted. He sat closer. Compliments turned more physical. When she tried to lean away, he laughed it off and got a little more aggressive. When she said she should go, he's like, relax, it's safe here. But when she tried to leave, he stepped between her and the door. Now, she managed to get out and call a friend. But when police got involved, they found that he had done this before, inviting women over for a movie and chill and isolating them, taking advantage and taking what he wanted. Emily did everything most people would do, trusted someone who seemed safe, but that's what makes it so important to talk about, because it seemed normal, it seemed safe, it seemed like something that she was going to be okay.
Right, so now we're going to go over the red flags. I call this the Netflix and chill date, and the animal you hear in the background is a dog that just wants to talk and be part of it, so she's out. But basically, the first red flag we have here is being invited to the apartment or doesn't even have to be an apartment, but to a solitary place where there's not going to be anybody else around. So that would be the first red flag on this whole date, is that he invited her, hey, come to my apartment. So his apartment there's a couple things wrong with that. First off is he has complete control there because it's his apartment. He knows where everything is. He knows what's set up there. Matter of fact, if he wants to set up cameras, he can do that. That's
another point that we should probably really talk about at some point, is hidden cameras in a person's house. Because they're so easy to do.
Well, yeah, and then part of my private investigation company, I was sent to all different places to look for hidden cameras, and more times than not, I actually found them, especially when one spouse thought they were cheating on the other, and they just put cameras all over the place. So if somebody is is basically a predator, which this guy is 100% is a predator. We know that because he's done this in the past. Matter of fact, we had a couple other stories where we realized that these guys who are predators that go out with these girls, they tend to use the same tactic that has worked in the past, and they keep making it and refining it, which is actually scary. So this guy here, he might actually, because he's not thinking about the police ever catching him, he's going to want to relive his adventures of power, and he probably would record him. So we'll go over that one time. And I know we're shooting videos on how to find and how to identify cameras in an apartment or in a home. But here, the guy invited her to a place where he has complete control. She will be alone, and for the first date, she said yes. I mean, would you ever do that?
I would always want it to be in a public place. Because if something's off, then at least I have people around. If I'm at somebody's place, I have no control. I mean, she might have felt more, well, we can go into that later.
Well, no, I like where you're going with that, because I think she did feel more comfortable because I guess they had some friends.
Shared contacts.
Shared friends on social media.
She felt like it was okay. Like, I feel like because they knew people together, that she had that level of comfort that apparently was unwarranted.
And why, as a woman, even if you had that level of comfort that you never met that person, why wouldn't you do that?
Because you don't know enough about this person. I mean, I don't know if she did any background checking or talked to the others that were on her shared mutual friends, or if she just assumed that it was okay because she had mutual friends.
Okay, so, I mean, that makes sense. So the first red flag is definitely the person wanted you not in a public place.
In private.
And in private, and in a place where he can absolutely 100% control it. To me, it would make, I mean, it's more of a private place, an apartment, but even if he asked you to meet him in his car or somewhere and go to a romantic place the first time when he picked you up, I still would feel that's a big red flag, because he's in control of his vehicle, he's in control of where you're going and how you're doing it. So on your first date...
You mean picking her up?
Picking her up, okay. Right. So on a first date, do not allow that control to be given, because things can happen, or even if everything went fine, you never know. This guy could have had a camera in there and he's just recording you, and you have no idea what's going on. So always, until you have a comfort level, meet in a public place. So the second red flag here was the control. And how he was, so we always look for control in these situations. So he controlled the place, which means he controlled the apartment. Now he controlled the alcohol. So he controlled, like, almost like not only her body, but now her mind psychologically, because he kept on feeding her alcohol. And I think he was, I mean, I hate to use the word smart, but he probably got a little smart on this, because maybe in the past, some girl goes, well, I only drink 2 or I drink 1. He didn't even allow her to finish, so she couldn't even know if she had 1, 2, or 3, because he kept pouring the glass of wine. And I'm also going to tell you, I can almost guarantee you the glass is going to be on the bigger side.
One of those big goblets.
Correct, so that she doesn't know how much wine is actually contained in there. And that is another thing to look for. So if someone's sitting here where you have like a little cup like this, you know that there's not much wine in there. But when you get a bigger cup, you're not understanding that, wow, that could have been like
half a bottle.
a half a bottle, yeah.
I got one of those cups.
and so here, that's another red flag. So in that case, what would you do if somebody keeps on topping off your wine glass? Because it seems like a nice thing. Although, right, let me go get you some more wine before you run out. So how would you take it, and what would you say in response?
Well, we can go over that. All right. So one of the things that you wouldn't look at, if you feel like, oh, maybe I'm drinking more than I thought, or this and that, you can just stop drinking, sip a little, and if you're already getting uncomfortable at that point, then you already got red flags. A lot of the younger generation are getting pretty smart. I've seen the trend of not drinking at all on first dates, which is an excellent choice, because then you know that you're keeping in control and you're not hindered by alcohol or getting drunk without realizing it.
Now, this story didn't talk about this, but would you have a concern if what would you rather him do? Take your glass and go to the kitchen and fill it? or him bring the bottle to you and fill it?
If I were in that situation,
Correct.
I mean, I'd be rather have the bottle in front of me, so I'm
Right.
watching the bottle. But at the same time, he opened it and he has control over it. If he's opened it in the kitchen, I don't know if he opened it in front of me, would be the best. Would feel more comfortable to me.
Well, right, and I understand that, but so he doesn't have control of your glass; he has control of the bottle.
Yeah.
And I would definitely have a concern, and this is for everybody to do. Make notice of whether or not he's drinking from the same bottle, because
Sure.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to see control of both things.
Open it there, pour it in both glasses.
But he would most likely put it in a glass than he would in a bottle because of the control. And he's probably going to be drinking from the bottle, so he's not going to drug his own. I mean, I don't know how many people out there have seen Princess Bride, but then, if he's put the stuff in your glass, he looks away. Do you do one of these things? You don't even want to get into that. You want to always maintain control. And again, this is on the first few dates where you actually don't even know who this person is. You always want to maintain control of that date, or at least control of you and your comfort in that date. This guy here is using all different types of techniques to control this date and her, which brings me to the next red flag, which, yes, we know he isolated her by keeping her in the apartment, but he also has control of that apartment. So he now has her away from everybody. Mm-hmm. He has her in the apartment, and he's controlling her exits and controlling everything that she's doing in that apartment because it's his. So that goes back to, always going back into a public place. Mm-hmm. But you also don't want him to just isolate you from everything and everybody.
Yeah.
And then the last red flag would have been his psychological. When he said to her, this is more of a psychological manipulation. When he said to her, "Hey, relax. You're safe here." Well, when someone says that to you, they're trying to now put your mind at ease. That should become an alert to you, another red flag, because especially if you're not feeling safe and this person is now trying to make you feel safe, it's almost like he feels that you're not safe.
He's trying to convince you to stay and that you're good and that this is all normal. This is all going to turn out fine.
Right.
Until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't, which, and this is a person you don't know, even though they might have still some friends, but you don't even know why they're social media friends anyways. They could have been friends of a friend. I mean, I know a lot of people have 2,000 or 3,000 friends that they never met, and, you scan through who their friends are, and you're like, wow.
10 common, you're like, okay, well, they must be fine. I already know them. And you add them to your list, and you don't realize you've got all of the spider webs out, and then you're connected to more people, and you don't even know these people. So yeah, that could happen very easily.
Right. So I wouldn't use that as a trust factor, especially with somebody you never met. Let me just check to see if anybody has any comments. If you do have comments, just post them up there. We'll get to there. We also want to take a little moment. We also want to hear other people's stories. So if you have a horrible date story or a warning date story where, like, oh my God, this happened to a friend or somebody I know, can you tell us how we could have saw it coming? And if we're in that situation, how do we get out of it? Mm-hmm. So we're going to flip to now, what should she have done before? So the first thing we said.
Okay. Yeah. Number 1, first date. 101, never in a private place. Try to make your first date, you're meeting somebody in a very public, very accessible, easily to get away place. Number 1 rule.
Right. Next rule. Always tell someone where you're going to be and give them a time for you to check in. Mm-hmm. So in this situation, if she said, hey, whoever her friend is, hey, Brian, I'm going to be at this address, because she would have had the address before. It's a first date. If you don't hear from me by 8:30, please give my phone a call or a text. If I don't respond to you within 5 minutes, call. Please check on me.
Yeah.
Call. If you don't hear from me, check on me, because if I haven't checked in with you, it's either a really good date or it's a really bad date. And if you text me, I'm going to check. And if it's a really, really bad date, you might not hear from me. And that's just something really easy to do. And you could do that with any friend. You could do it with a sibling. You could do it with anybody. It's just safety 101. So that is so besides the never meet in a private place, the next one is always let someone know where you're going to be and have a time check-in.
How about controlling your alcohol? I think that's like keep control of what you're drinking and how much you're drinking, and be aware of that. You definitely don't want to become and get into a state that you don't have your faculties about you to make the proper decisions.
Well, it's not only that too, because if something should happen later on, they're going to say, well, how much should you have to drink? And that's going to be another one that the predator is going to try and use that against you, saying, well, her mind's not really clear about thinking about these things. So for your first date, do not drink excessively. I would call it like a social drink, if that. And if you feel like all of a sudden you drank too much, that's probably because something was put into your drink.
Yeah, and you went from 0 to 100,
right?
And you're like, something's way off. That's when you start calling your friends.
And if you were drinking more excessively, you might not realize that something was put into your drink. This is all, again, on the first dates before you really get to know somebody. These are the most important things, because as you get to know more and more, that whole opportunity starts sliding, because these people aren't going to keep on going on multiple dates until they do what they're going to do. That's a rare occurrence. The next one is always have the exit strategy.
So, do you want to talk about language before we get to exit strategies?
What do you mean by language?
Like his trying to convince you that you're safe.
Sure.
Okay. So the language, relax, that psychologically you're safe. If somebody says, the same thing with like the dinners, first date, you don't owe anybody anything. So if they're like trying to convince you that you owe them something by either the touching or leaning in or the not respecting your boundaries, and then trying to convince you you're safe, then that should be a red flag.
Right. Well, and then your exit strategy. Make sure you always have an exit strategy. We went over one, whereas having a friend, having them check in on your call, but also know your surroundings, and this is what we call situational awareness. When you get into the apartment, know where the exit is. Know how to get out of there. Know how to isolate yourself. Maybe know where the bathroom is and know that it locks or something. So when you first get in there, go to the bathroom, check the lock, make sure it locks. Make sure you have a place where you can isolate yourself so you can call for help. Make sure you have something on speed dial. What I like to see somebody have is not just one exit strategy, but a bunch. So when you get in there, how do I get out of here? I mean, you could walk in,
elevator, as you're coming into the building as well.
Yeah, and know exactly, because you don't want to be chased down the hall and you don't know if there's neighbors there. So when you go in there, pay attention to what's going on around your surroundings, because again, your first date is what we call the highest risk. As you go on more dates, the risk will go down because you have more time and you understand the person, and your gut is able to tell you more with more knowledge. So with your first dates, always make sure you know exit strategies. Just don't have one, have multiple. Let people know where you are, and always know where the exit is. And you went over other videos where, hey, here's pepper spray, here's these type of things. Make sure you always have one of those things too, and know how to use it, obviously.
Last thing, don't be afraid to be rude. You don't owe anybody anything on a first date.
Right. I have a saying, being rude is not being prude. So worry about somebody ever saying, oh my God, she teases or doing this. That's not what that is.
You owe me something for what I provided or made for you. I made dinner for you. I got you drinks, like whatever. You don't owe them anything for that.
No. And if somebody is telling you that is another big red flag.
That's a red flag in itself.
Yeah. And I mean, again,
watch your language. Yeah.
Get your exit strategy and literally get the mofo out. You really just need to know when to leave. And also, again, we say this over and over, your gut is probably smarter than you. So if your gut is telling you something, trust it and leave. You can always have a second date. You can fake an illness. You can fake anything else. A headache is great. I had a great time. I really don't feel well, and take off. And if they're telling you, hey, no, I'll get you some Motrin, or, lay down here, I'll take care of you.
Nope.
That means you really need to get out quicker. So these are the things we want you to leave with on a first date such as this. And it doesn't even have to be Netflix and chill. This applies to a lot of different dates.
Yeah, so Emily's story is tough, but it's one that a lot of us can relate to, because not everybody can afford to go out. Not everybody is going to go to dinner or to this. But you can pick a public place to have a cup of coffee or something, and at least that's a safer option than ending up in somebody's house or apartment. The truth is, even dangerous situations don't start out scary. They could be very normal and then turn into a scary situation pretty quickly.
And I think one of the biggest walkaways from this is, I think that Emily felt safe because on her social media, they had common friends. And I would say, unless you know somebody that actually knows them and hung out with them and says, oh, I was in high school or grew up with them, you still go to a public place. But you always, number one, always go to a public place till you met the person. But a lot of people look at Facebook friends or whatever other social medias out there, friends, as that is their real friends. Social media friends, I can guarantee you, look on your own right now, you probably haven't met 1/10 of them. They're just social media friends. You have no idea who they are. And remember, on social media, especially on Facebook and those people show you what they want to show you. Those are not their lives, so don't trust it. Again, make sure public place always number one for first date. That's what didn't happen here. Tragedy hit her. It could have been a lot worse. She got out of there. But apparently for other people, according to the police, it was not. And just make sure, guys, you stay safe. You stay situationally aware. Our saying at Calculated Survival is plan to survive, refuse to die. So stick around for a lot more situational awareness videos. We have a bunch more segments with these datings. We're going to get on to traveling. We're going to get on to a whole bunch of different topics on how to stay safe in the public, how to stay safe in bars, where to sit, what to do, how to react. Check out our videos on self-defense versus situational awareness, which one we think you should learn first.
Have a good evening. See you next time.